We thought we had seen it all in hip hop and love, but this feud between Kirk Frost and Mendeecees has gone deadly. They aren't just teasing each other anymore. Someone might not survive this. Hold on, Kirk. The streets are talking, blogs are buzzing, and let's just say that nobody is safe because we were leaked. This was a pretty set-up Mendeecees. Was this some mafia-level ambush captured on camera? Why is MC suddenly lawyered up and going for blood, bro? Reveals purported CCTV evidence and some startling receipts that will cause you to reconsider everything you know about Kirk Frost, who is set to be exposed, is making frantic covert power maneuvers, and, most importantly, is going to lose. Get your popcorn ready because this narrative twist is more outrageous than a season finale cliffhanger. Let's examine the chaos, drama, and danger of this love and hip-hop conflict between Kirk Frost and Mendeecees, two figures that have been making headlines. For all the wrong reasons, it's making waves in the love and hip-hop world, but believe me, you weren't prepared for what's about to happen. The streets are talking, and the tea is boiling, but you thought it was just some trivial reality TV drama. Has turned into something far more dangerous. We're talking about covert meetings, backstabbing, and actions being taken behind closed doors that might alter everything. Let's go back a moment. You all know him. The man has been apprehended. Mendeecees has always been involved in scandal, from his court cases to his tumultuous relationship with Yandy Smith. But what if I told you that this time he wasn't simply dealing with the courtroom or a dispute at a reunion special? But no, this was real life. It was life or death. Kirk Frost, a man who has made a name for himself as a father, businessman, and cool guy overall, was on the other side. Kirk has never been as pure as he wants you to think, and it appears like the skeletons in his closet are ready to come crumbling down. The cameras have always been there, and there have been whispers of infidelity scandals and shady deals. Because Kirk and Mendeecees have been at odds for months, what began as a simple misunderstanding has escalated into a full-fledged conflict, and believe me when I say that these sources don't lie. You won't believe how deep it goes. At first, it appeared to be a normal industrial spat, a dispute over money, and a business that was still failing, but then things took a turn and meetings began to take place behind closed doors. Individuals began to vanish from the conversation, and then the most shocking revelation of all was rumors of a covert attack. Yes, an attack, a well-thought-out, coordinated, and lethal action with a single determined goal. Now that Mendeecees are out, I understand what you're thinking. Kirk wouldn't do that because he's not that kind of guy, but let me remind you of something. When money is involved, reputations are at risk, egos are hurt, anything is. Well, and the most bizarre part is that Mendeecees foresaw it somehow. He knew Kirk was planning something behind the scenes, but instead of waiting for it to happen, he chose to change the course of events. You all recall that exclusive CCTV footage. It turns out that the video that went viral last week wasn't just a random altercation. Rather, it was evidence that Kirk's people have been following me for weeks in anticipation of the ideal opportunity to attack. And that night was meant to be the night, but they were surprised to find that Mendeecees was prepared. Let's take a look at this photo, where Mendeecees is out going about his business as if it were any other night, but something doesn't feel right. Perhaps it's because the same automobile always appears wherever he goes, or perhaps it's because those in the throng seem a bit too familiar. But whatever the reason, his instincts take over, and as he's ready to get into this car, bam! Unexpectedly, masked men rush him. There is confusion and madness, people are yelling, and just when it seems that Mendeecees won't survive, his security team intervenes. A fight breaks out, fists are exchanged, and someone pulls out a weapon, and before you know it, the entire incident is captured on video. This is where things get even more crazy because as soon as the video was released, people began to figure out why those masked men who attacked Mendeecees weren't just some random thugs, but rumors have it that they were connected to a wealthy and powerful person who could manipulate events behind the scenes to make things vanish. You can guess whose name kept up in those. Kirk Frost talks. Listen, I don't know about you guys, but this doesn't seem like a coincidence to me, and it seems that men thought the same way since the following day he filed the case. Yes, Mendeecees went directly to the authorities with what he had, and believe me when I say that he did not withhold anything from them. According to sources close to the case, he gave them all the information, including names, video, and a list of potential witnesses against Kirk. At that point, the real fireworks began because Kirk was completely mistaken if he believed that everything would simply go away. He wasn't merely attempting to manage this behind closed doors. Rather, he was making this public, which meant that Kirk was officially. You all already know how this industry operates when a scandal occurs, and I can assure you that this was only the beginning because of what people began to uncover about Kirk. To put it mildly, everything looks much worse now. If you thought that M's filing the case was the end of it, you're not prepared for what came next because, believe me, Kirk Frost's predicament only got worse. Kirk was forced to reply when Mendeecees took this public, but the problem is that when you're under a lot of pressure, sometimes the worst thing you can do is open your mouth, which is precisely what Kirk did rather than remaining silent. Instead of letting his attorneys handle it, or even issuing a simple statement like, "I have no involvement in this type of statement," Kirk did something unexpected by going live on Instagram, live during a full-fledged legal problem. First of all, Kirk, this man decided it would be a good idea to go on social media and try to clear his name in front of thousands of people. I can assure you that this was a complete disaster. Looked anxious, as if he had not slept for 3 days, and my lawyer had just warned me that I would be in serious danger. As soon as he began speaking, you could see he was rushing. I'm not sure where this is coming from, Kirk. I don't have anything to do with any of these men. They're trying to paint me as someone I'm not. The issue is that Kirk has never really refuted the accusations, so now tell me why someone would accuse you of planning an attack on. If you were another man, you wouldn't respond. That's a lie. I had nothing to do with that. Instead, Kirk was merely blaming the blogs, the haters, and the way people were misrepresenting the truth. But in the comments, people weren't buying it. One person wrote, "Bro, just say you didn't do it. Why all the extra talk?" Another viewer added, "Just when you thought it couldn't get worse." Yes, Kirk's own wife Rashida appeared in the comments section. Let's just say that she wasn't supporting her husband in this case since, rather than defending Kirk, she made a shocking remark that left everyone stunned. "I told you this was going to happen." Please pardon me, but what does it mean? When people realized that it was over, Twitter went crazy, Instagram was in ruins, and the blog began analyzing everything because, let's face it, if your own wife is out there implying that you've been up to some shady business that doesn't look good, my guy, but here's where it gets. Well, their M's wasn't finished. You see, M's wasn't just sitting around while Kirk was out here looking foolish on Instagram Live. As he waited for everything to happen, he started to move, and the next move, oh, it was a big one, was that less than 48 hours after Kirk's terrible live session, a new video surfaced. Let me set the scene for. It was very clear, high-quality video, and guess what? It showed Kirk meeting in secret with one of the masked people. This was not some random surveillance tape from across the street, nor was it grainy. Men from the attack, you mean to tell me that Kirk was spotted sitting at a table chatting passionately with the same man who was later captured on tape attempting to take Mendeecees out just a few days prior to the ambush on Mendeecees? Make it happen. Since the internet entered into detective mode, individuals have been improving the footage, dissecting it frame by frame, and coming to the conclusion that this was not a coincidence. Oh, and these sources had receipts from the individual Kirk was speaking with. He has a history of serious business dealings, and we're not talking about romance or hip-hop drama, but rather about real life, off-the-record, underground business, and Kirk was sitting down with him just days before Mendeecees was attacked, which isn't looking good. At this point, the pressure was mounting, and Kirk was losing control of the story. Then, just when he thought it couldn't get any worse, even worse, the police formally began an investigation. Once the police began their investigation, M's legal team came forward and claimed to have further material that they hadn't out yet, and you know what that means, they're keeping on to the genuine. Meanwhile, Kirk, was frantically searching because the feds were now watching, and believe me when I say that when you've got that type of, you had better make sure your hands are clean. But here's the thing, Kirk's hands aren't clean, and you all want to know why. As this investigation progressed, more dirt began to surface because of what people began finding out about Kirk's previous feud. To put it mildly, might make this problem more worse than we initially believed. If you thought this was a mess, you haven't seen anything yet. Now pay attention when the federal agents begin to sniff around. That's when you realize it's true, because Kirk still had some leeway to play this off as a major misunderstanding. He could have said that it was merely a business bus meeting or that he didn't know the guy, but I know once though. When the police became involved, the door was slammed shut because, as you may know, when they begin an investigation, they don't stop at a single crime, and what they discovered on Kirk was, let's just say, not the first time. Playing foul. Let me ask you this. How does a man who has been struggling for years and has been pleading to keep his enterprises afloat manage to get everything to fall apart when they took his financial records? Who has been complaining about his financial losses and now has millions coming in and going out of his accounts? Someone should explain that, as investigators discovered Kirk had been reminiscent of that enigmatic situation. Imagine sitting on a huge hidden bankroll and finding that the figures did not match up. We're talking about millions in consulting fees, sporadic wire transactions, and offshore accounts cropping up everywhere. It comes out that Kirk had already paid the masked man from the attack. Hold on, what business does Kirk have with paying a man who has been connected to street activity specifically? That's when the feds really started to work because, this is no longer simply a reality TV show. It's now a full-fledged criminal investigation, and the accusations they're looking into, they're serious, involve conspiracy to commit assault. Yes, Kirk has been cleared of wire fraud, money laundering, and connections to organized crime. But the worst thing is that, guess what? He had a plan. This man, Mies, had been keeping receipts for years and knew Kirk had been unclean. Knew that this man was acting shadowy. And when Kirk crossed the line, boom, M fired the shot that started the entire takedown. What's even more crazy is that when people learned that Kirk was being probed, began talking because, when you're in the business, people know you're a jerk. And the instant Kirk appeared weak, all of his supposed pals turned on him. Unknown sources began to come forward with more leaked phone conversations and texts. Calls came in, and Rashida even stopped standing up for him. Yes, his own wife, because as you may recall, she made that dubious remark during his Instagram live stream. But that was only the beginning. After the police intervened, she withdrew herself. Rashida was playing the role of the ride or your wife 1 minute, and then she was out here telling the media that she didn't know anything. You know what? That implies she's preparing to defend herself because it's safe to assume that she won't go down with him. Let's face it, if your own wife no longer believes in you, that's it. And just when Kirk thought things couldn't get any worse, they did, because the feds don't just look into things. Kirk's time was up after the arrest, which occurred at precisely 6:45 a.m. on a typical Tuesday. They broke down his doors and plundered his home. Kirk was in handcuffs before he could put on his slippers after they obtained search warrants and confiscated every laptop, document, and hard drive. They grabbed him, and the instant that mugshot appeared online, the memes went crazy because Kirk was discovered playing mafia boss and Rashida was prepared to act as though she didn't even know him. Kirk was playing checkers, and let's be honest, they weren't mistaken because Mendeecees, he didn't just win, he ruined Kirk's entire career. Kirk, baby, isn't recovering from this because you know what the industry does to those who become embroiled in controversies like this. The greatest irony is that the man who attempted to remove me ended up removing himself because, while Kirk is sitting in a chilly jail cell, Mendeecees is out here winning and they erased them. There are no more reality TV agreements, endorsements, or anything else. What do you guys think? Did Kirk do this to himself? Was this all part of M's grand scheme? And most importantly, what will Rasha do to Gadu next? Let's face it, she isn't the biggest narrative shock ever. Staying put for this mess, leave a comment, click the like button, and subscribe if you want more exclusive tea like this. Oh, and believe me, this isn't even the end of the drama because what we just discovered is only the beginning, but stick listening. And there you have it, one of the most outrageous confrontations in the history of love and hip-hop. Kirk Frost believed he was untouchable, that he could win the game, and believed he could pull a quick one-on and still maintain his little empire. But now look at him. His career in flames is on federal charges, his reputation is ruined, and oh, he's sitting back drinking, taking it all in, watching Kirk fail like it's the greatest thing ever. His life's season finale, but the true question is if Kirk deserved this, if karma was finally catching up with him, or if I went too far. And lastly, is Rashina going to pack her bags and leave Kirk in the dust, or will she perish or pull a ride? We need you to attempt to save him. Responses: leave your ideas in the comments at this time. I must know whose. Oh, which side are you on? Don't believe this. The drama is finished because, believe me, the narrative is far from over, so be sure to. If you enjoyed this video, please sign up for the channel and activate alerts because the next bombshell baby is going to stay locked and shake the industry even more.